safer world is possible, and together we can and will make it happen. Thank you.
When you show up in community, you find that group that makes you feel like home, but oftentimes you also find yourself again.
You generally become, everybody sit down, I'm about to have a history lesson with Mr. O'Brien. You generally become a monarch. The first monarch in a line has generally won a war, all right, or mounted a successful invasion. And that war has been won, or that invasion has been mounted in pursuit of booty, right? Not in the modern sense of the word. I'm not going to start rapping, but in pursuit of lucre, cash, spoils. That's why they are called the spoils of war. William the Conqueror came to England in 1066, hoping to enrich himself. 1,000 years later, more than 1,000 years later, the Duke of Westminster, when asked for advice on becoming super wealthy, suggested that the best thing you could do was to have an ancestor who was friends with William the Conqueror. So I don't know if there is such a thing as private money for the descendants of whichever monarch it was that actually undertook a war or an invasion in order to fill their own coffers. But it's not black and white, is it? Whose money is this? Whose 12 million quid is making its way towards Virginia Giuffre and her charity? What does this story tell you about England? 0345 60 60973, or perhaps the United Kingdom. It's a tale of deference to the point of delusion, right? Think how much effort in the last few years has been put into maligning Prince Harry. Just think about that for 1 minute. What's Prince Harry done wrong? Well, he married a mixed race girl, James, but I can't say that out loud, so I'm just going to say that you're woke. What's Prince Harry done wrong? Oh, he's woke. What does that mean? Can't tell you. I'll tell you what woke means today. 2 stories. I'll share them with you later. It means both vegetarian, and it's a description of Wordle's decision to remove some swear words from that online word game. That's the 2 instances of woke. I'm going to start Woke Watch. I've been threatening to do it for years. I'm starting Woke Watch. Can't work out what it means. Today it means vegetarian. Think for a minute about the effort put into maligning Prince Harry over the last few years. And now look at what Andrew Windsor has done overnight. It was the threat of deposition that focused the mind. What once he'd been, if you like, nailed in court, called to court, all bets were off. No one could defend him after that. And it would have coincided. And I find this almost impenetrable. And I've lived here all my life. I don't have a particular problem with the Queen in particular. And as I've got older, I've become a lot mellower about the royal family in general. I don't know if that's going to change today. But the bit that I find almost impenetrable is that the motivation for this move appears to be the looming platinum anniversary of the Queen and a desire not to see it polluted by having her second oldest son standing in a dock in New York City accused of the vilest of crimes. Just think about this for a minute. How often do I say to you sometimes, your nose is so close to the screen that you can't see the picture, you can only see the pixels jiggling around. This is astonishing. This cuts to the heart of everything. This story is about class. It's about tradition. It's about deference. It's about this mad framework that's been imposed on our country for hundreds and hundreds of years and is designed to teach us that that person is better than this person. The royal family was supposed to be better than us. Go back far enough, not even that far, and the divine right of kings was supposed to see them anointed by God to rule over us. All right? The rich man in his castle, the poor man at his gate. God made them high and lowly, each one to his estate. It was anointed, it was decided by God that these people would live in palaces. And these people, well, I think back to the fella in Aviemore yesterday who's lying in bed with his electric blanket on one because it's the only way he can even begin to try to keep warm as the cost of fuel and living rockets in this country. And the Queen, the head of state, can find 12 million quid to bail out her deviant son. It's incredible when you think about it. Absolutely incredible. If they tried to turn this country into what it is overnight, there'd be a revolution. But it is what it is. It's all we've ever known. And the effort that you now have to put into sustaining the status quo, while Andrew Windsor has provided the most incontrovertible evidence that the status quo is a joke and that these people have no more right to reign over you than you do, it's going to be, it's going to be a thing to behold. It's absolutely astonishing. The most vulnerable people in society have £20 a week taken off them by the government, but the Queen can find 12 million quid to bail out her deviant son, and it's somehow not a comparison that you should draw.
Hello and welcome back to Sussexful. I'm your host, Emma, and as always, thank you for joining this incredible community that stands firmly with Prince Harry and Meghan, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Before we dive in, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Sussexful, the channel that tells the truth the mainstream media won't. Now, in today's video, we're diving into James O'Brien's epic take on the Prince Andrew saga. He breaks down the shocking double standards at the heart of Britain's establishment. As James powerfully puts it, Andrew will never have to worry about heating or eating, while vulnerable people have £20 taken off their benefits. And that famous line, "The grand old Duke of York, he had 12 million quid, he gave it to someone he'd never met, for something he never did." James O'Brien doesn't hold back, and neither do we here at Sussexful. Let's get into it. The Prince Andrew Saga, a scathing critique. The Prince Andrew saga is a damning indictment of the stark inequalities that pervade British society. As James O'Brien so eloquently points out, it is utterly astonishing that the Queen can find £12 million to bail out her deviant son, while the most vulnerable members of society have a mere £20 a week taken from them by the callous government. This stark contrast serves as a searing critique of a system that coddles the wealthy and powerful, while neglecting the needs of the poor and disadvantaged. The fact that Prince Andrew can sit in his massive house, not doing any work, not worrying about bills, and still get more benefits in 1 week than a single mother who is struggling to feed herself, and her kid gets in a month, is a damning indictment of the skewed priorities and moral failings of those in positions of authority. This scandal is a powerful reminder that true justice and equality remain elusive in a society that continues to privilege the elite and the privileged. The privilege of Prince Andrew. Prince Andrew's lavish lifestyle stands in stark contrast to the financial struggles faced by countless families in this country. While ordinary citizens must work tirelessly to make ends meet, the Duke of York enjoys an exemption from such burdens. He can sit in his sprawling residence, unencumbered by the need for employment, and still receive benefits that far exceed what the most vulnerable members of society are allotted. It is an astonishing disparity that reveals the deeply entrenched inequalities present in our system. As the government tightens the purse strings on those already struggling, it is unfathomable that the Queen can find £12 million to bail out her son, a man whose alleged transgressions have cast a dark shadow over the monarchy. This glaring imbalance of privilege underscores the urgent need to re-examine the distribution of resources and ensure that the most fundamental needs of all citizens are met, regardless of their station in life. You know, it is truly staggering to witness the stark contrast between the Queen's willingness to provide a £12 million bailout for her son Prince Andrew, while the most vulnerable members of society are facing devastating cuts to their meager benefits. This questionable use of public resources to aid a deviant son, as James O'Brien so aptly put it, stands in stark opposition to the struggles of single mothers and others who are barely able to make ends meet. The grand old Duke of York, it seems, has been granted a lavish safety net at the expense of those who can least afford to lose it. Honestly, something is indeed very wrong when the privileged can evade accountability and retain their comforts, while the neediest are forced to bear the brunt of austerity measures. This glaring disparity speaks volumes about the troubling state of inequality and priorities in our society. The hypocrisy here is just, well, impossible to ignore. The glaring disparity in the treatment of the privileged and the disadvantaged is a damning indictment of the system's inherent unfairness. While the elite can effortlessly secure substantial financial support, even for alleged misdeeds, the most vulnerable members of society are ruthlessly deprived of the meager resources they desperately need to survive. This disproportionate allocation of resources serves to perpetuate a cycle of inequality, where the privileged maintain their position of power and influence, while the disadvantaged are further marginalized and denied the opportunity to improve their circumstances. The failure to hold the elite accountable for their actions, no matter how egregious, only reinforces the perception that the system is rigged in favor of those with wealth and status, undermining the very principles of justice and fairness that a functioning society should uphold. The public has reacted with outrage and disbelief at the revelations surrounding Prince Andrew's actions. Widespread criticism has erupted, with many calling for the royal to be held accountable for his alleged misconduct. There are demands for full transparency from the monarchy, as the public grapples with the perception that the privileged elite operate under a different set of rules. Alongside this clamor for justice, there is growing indignation over the stark contrast between the lavish lifestyle afforded to the royal family and the struggles faced by the most vulnerable members of society. As the nation reckons with this scandal, the public is demanding a more equitable distribution of resources and an end to the perception of untouchable privilege. The revelations surrounding Prince Andrew have, without a doubt, dealt a significant blow to the reputation of the British royal family. The public's trust and faith in the monarchy's integrity have been shaken, leading many people to question the institution's role and relevance in modern society. The potential for reform or even a restructuring of the royal family's power and influence has become a pressing concern, as the public demands greater accountability and transparency from those in positions of privilege and authority. The monarchy, which was once seen as a symbol of stability and tradition, now finds itself grappling with the need to adapt and evolve to meet the changing expectations of the 21st century. The path forward for the royal family is, honestly, uncertain, but one thing is clear. The implications of this scandal will reverberate for years to come, potentially transforming the very fabric of the British establishment. The media's extensive coverage of the Prince Andrew scandal has, without question, shaped public perception and discourse surrounding this high-profile case. Through their reporting, narratives have emerged that cast a harsh spotlight on the Duke's actions and the royal family's response. This, raises important questions about the media's responsibility when it comes to such sensitive and influential stories. On one hand, the public absolutely has a right to know the details of this unfolding saga. Yet, the media's tendency to sensationalize and spin events can also unduly sway opinions and oversimplify complex issues. As the saga continues to unfold, it will be crucial for the media to strike a balance between informing the public and avoiding the pitfalls of biased or irresponsible reporting. The way this scandal is covered will no doubt have far-reaching implications, not just for the royal family, but for the role of the media in holding the powerful to account. The stark contrast between the lavish privileges enjoyed by the elite and the struggles faced by the most vulnerable members of society is, frankly, a glaring indictment of the systemic inequities that plague our nation. While Prince Andrew can bask in his opulence, shielded from the consequences of his actions, countless hardworking individuals are forced to choose between heating their homes or putting food on the table. This gross imbalance of power and resources reflects a fundamental flaw in the very structures and policies that govern our society. To truly address the root causes of inequality, we must, I believe, undertake a comprehensive reform of the institutions and systems that have perpetuated this injustice. Accountability must be demanded of the privileged and the powerful, ensuring that no one, regardless of their status or wealth, is above the law. Only through such transformative change can we build a fairer, more equitable society that truly serves the needs of all its citizens, not just the privileged few. The calls for greater transparency and accountability within our institutions have grown, increasingly urgent. As the public demands a more equitable distribution of resources, we stand at a pivotal crossroads, one where the potential for societal transformation and a more just system has never been more palpable. The stark contrast between the lavish privileges afforded to the privileged few and the struggles of the most vulnerable in our society has laid bare the deep-seated inequities that have festered for far too long. Now is the time to heed these cries for change, to reimagine a future where opportunity is not dictated by one's station in life, but rather by the content of one's character and the dedication of one's spirit. The path forward may be honestly arduous, but the rewards of a more just, compassionate, and inclusive society are worth the effort. Let us embrace this moment of reckoning, for in doing so, we may yet write a new chapter in the ongoing struggle for a better world.